I'd woken up soaked again. The sheets cling to my skin, wet and heavy, like they've been dragged through a river. I blink, trying to make sense of the dark, my heart racing, every beat pounding in my ears. The water isn't just a dampness, it's seeping from somewhere inside me, or at least that's what it feels like. My body is drenched, but there's no source, no leak, nothing in this apartment that should explain why I'm lying in a puddle. I sit up, shivering, and glance around the room. It's quiet still, nothing unusual. But then nothing has felt normal for a long time. It started a few months ago. I'd taken a job at the coffee shop down the street, thinking it would be easy. Something to help pay for books and rent. But after a few weeks, things began to blur, days bleeding into nights, dreams blending with waking life. It was subtle at first, a sense of being watched, of eyes on the back of my neck that vanished when I turned around. I blamed it on the long shifts, the caffeine. Everyone was exhausted, right? College was supposed to be stressful. But now, I'm not so sure. Lately, I can't shake the feeling that something's wrong, deeply wrong. I stare at the clock on my nightstand, its numbers glowing faintly. 3 a.m., or maybe it's 6. I'm not sure anymore. Time doesn't hold the same meaning it used to. There's a dampness to the air that feels too thick, too oppressive. I push the covers aside and step onto the cold floor, feeling the water squish beneath my feet. My head spins for a second, disoriented by the sensation, by the way the room seems to tilt ever so slightly, as if it's not sure which way reality lies. Tina is asleep in the next room, probably unaware of all this. She always sleeps through everything. I try telling her about the water, about how I wake up soaked to the bone, my bed drenched as if I'd been submerged in a lake. But she just laughs it off, like it's some weird college phase I'm going through. Maybe you're just sweating in your sleep, she'd said with a shrug, her face half covered in one of those face masks she's always wearing. It happens. But this isn't sweat. This is something else entirely. I drag myself to the bathroom, wiping my arms with a towel, but the dampness doesn't go away. It's under my skin, like it's part of me now. I turn on the light and stare at myself in the mirror. The girl looking back at me is familiar, but only just. My eyes are bloodshot, the circles beneath them dark and heavy. My hair sticks to my forehead, plastered down by the wetness that I can't escape. I wonder if this is how it starts, the descent. I've read about people who lose their grip on reality, who slip into madness without realizing it. What if that's what's happening to me? The water drips from the ends of my hair, falling onto the tiled floor with soft, muted splashes. I should call someone, I think. But who? What would I even say? That I'm drowning in my own bed? That I can't tell if I'm awake or dreaming anymore? Tina wouldn't understand. She's too grounded in the real world. I've watched her go about her routine, the normalcy of it all. Waking up, brushing her teeth, heading to class, talking about her day as if none of this is happening. It's like she's living in a different world entirely, one where everything makes sense, and I'm stuck here, slipping deeper into whatever this is. I sit down on the edge of the bathtub, trying to steady myself, but my thoughts are racing. Flashes of faces come and go, people I don't know, but feel like I should. Nick, Alex, Rosa. Their names float through my mind, attached to fragmented images like memories that don't belong to me. I see Nick in a dark room, his face pale, eyes wide with terror. Alex's hands, covered in blood, trembling as if he's just done something terrible. Rosa's hollow gaze, staring straight ahead, as if she's already given up. I don't know where these memories come from, but they're there, lodged in the back of my mind like splinters. I shake my head, trying to clear the fog, but it's no use. The more I think about them, the clearer the images become. They were part of something, just like I am now, a program, an experiment. I remember a name, White Rabbit. I don't know how I know it, but I do. It's buried deep in my subconscious, a whisper at the edges of my thoughts, and with it comes a creeping sense of dread, the feeling that I'm not just losing my grip on reality, but that it's being taken from me piece by piece. The apartment is quiet now, too quiet. I can hear Tina's soft breathing from the other room, steady and calm. For a moment, I consider waking her up, asking her to sit with me, to help me make sense of all this. But what would I say? How could I explain the things I'm seeing, the things I'm feeling? She wouldn't believe me. She'd just brush it off like she always does. And maybe she's right. Maybe I am imagining it. Maybe this is all in my head. But the water is real. I can feel it, cold against my skin, soaking through my clothes. I close my eyes and take a deep breath. trying to center myself, to ground myself in something tangible. But even with my eyes shut, I can still see the flashes. Nick's pale face, Alex's bloody hands, Rose's empty stare. They're all part of this, whatever this is. And so am I. The night drags on, the weight of the water pressing down on me. I can feel it now, not just around me, but inside me, filling my lungs, pulling me under. I don't know how much longer I can hold on. But for now, all I can do is wait. Wait for morning. Wait for the next strange thing to happen. Wait for the moment when I finally slip beneath the surface, and there's no coming back. When I open my eyes, I'm not sure if I've really woken up or if I'm still caught in the middle of one of those strange dreams. My room looks the same as it always does, but something feels off, like a layer of the world has been peeled back, leaving everything exposed. The air is too thick again, dense and damp. I can feel it sticking to my skin, heavy with that same sensation of drowning that's been following me. I sit up slowly, wiping the moisture from my forehead, and glance at the clock. The red glow of the numbers stares back at me, unchanged from what it showed hours ago, or at least what felt like hours. I throw the blankets off and swing my feet over the side of the bed. The floor feels solid beneath me, but I don't trust it. Every step feels like it could drop me into some other place, like the ground is just waiting to dissolve under my feet. I can't shake the feeling that I'm balancing on the edge of something, some space between what's real and what isn't, and I'm not sure which side I'll fall into. The apartment is quiet, almost too quiet. I pad down the hallway to the kitchen, hoping a glass of water will somehow clear the fog in my head, make things feel normal again. But even the sound of the tap running feels distant, like it's coming from somewhere far away. The glass is cold against my lips, but the water doesn't help. I can feel it slide down my throat, but it doesn't quench the strange dryness in my mouth. Nothing feels quite right anymore. Tina's door is slightly ajar, a sliver of light cutting across the floor. I move toward it without thinking, needing some kind of anchor, some proof that I'm not alone in this strange, shifting reality. I knock softly, not wanting to wake her if she's asleep, but the door swings open with barely a push. Tina is sitting on her bed, staring at her phone, completely oblivious to the world outside her screen. Tina. I say, my voice sounding hollow in the silence of the apartment. She looks up, her face bathed in the cool light of the screen, and for a second, something in her expression makes my stomach flip. She looks normal like she always does. Hair pulled back in a messy bun, glasses perched on her nose. But there's something in her eyes, something I can't place. It's like she's seeing right through me. But then she smiles, that same easy, unaffected smile she always gives me. And I wonder if I'm just imagining it. Hey, you okay? She asks, her voice soft and casual, as if nothing strange has ever happened in this apartment, as if I'm not losing my mind. I hesitate for a second, unsure of what to say. How do I explain that I don't know what's real anymore? That I've been waking up soaked to the bone, seeing things that aren't there? How do I tell her that I feel like the world is slipping away from me, and I'm the only one who seems to notice? I'm fine. I lie forcing a smile that I don't feel. Just couldn't sleep. She nods, her attention already drifting back to her phone, her fingers scrolling mindlessly through whatever social feed she's absorbed in. I stand there for a moment longer, waiting for something, some kind of sign that she can see what I'm going through, that she knows more than she's letting on. But there's nothing, just the faint hum of her phone and the steady rise and fall of her breathing. I turn and leave, feeling more alone than I did before I knocked on her door. The apartment feels colder when I walk back to my room, the shadows darker. I try to shake the feeling that something is watching me, but it clings to me like the dampness in the air. I crawl back into bed, pulling the covers up to my chin, but sleep doesn't come. Instead, the flashes start again. Fragments of faces, scenes from lives I don't recognize but feel in my bones. Nick's face is the first to appear, pale and drawn, his eyes wide with fear. He's standing in a room, the walls stark and sterile, as if he's been there for days, waiting for something terrible to happen. I can hear his breath, shallow and panicked, the sound of it filling the empty space around him. I know he's one of them, one of the other test subjects, but I don't know why I know that. It's like the memory isn't mine, like it's been planted there, forced into my mind without my consent. Then there's Alex, his hands covered in blood. I see him standing over someone, another test subject maybe, or someone else entirely, and his face is twisted in a way that makes my skin crawl. There's something wild in his eyes, something animalistic, like the experiment has stripped away everything human in him. The sight of the blood, thick and dark on his hands, makes my stomach turn, but I can't look away. It's as if I'm trapped in the vision, forced to witness the horror of it. Rosa is next, her eyes hollow and vacant, staring straight ahead as if she's already given up. I can feel her hopelessness, her resignation, like a weight pressing down on my chest. She doesn't fight it anymore, whatever it is. She's let go, surrendered to the program. And the thought terrifies me more than anything else. I don't want to end up like her. I blink, and the visions fade, leaving me alone in the darkness again. My heart is pounding, the sheets tangled around me like restraints. I know these flashes aren't dreams. They're something more, something real. They feel too vivid, too sharp to be just a product of my mind. But if they're real, then what does that mean for me? Am I next? Am I on the same path as Nick, Alex, and Rosa? The thought gnaws at me, refusing to let go. The night stretches on, and I lie there staring at the ceiling, waiting for something to change. But nothing does. The water drips from somewhere I can't see. The shadows twist in ways that make my skin prickle, and the weight of what's happening presses down on me, suffocating. The morning light filters through the blinds, weak and gray, as if it's struggling to break through the same haze that's been hanging over me for days. I sit at the edge of my bed, feeling like a stranger in my own body. My skin still feels damp, the sheets beneath me cold and clammy. But I can't tell anymore if the water is real or if it's something my mind has conjured up. Everything blurs together now. Sleep, waking, dreams. I touch my face, trying to anchor myself in something familiar. But even that feels foreign. Tina is in the kitchen when I finally leave my room, her back to me as she moves through her morning routine. The smell of coffee fills the air, but instead of comforting me, it turns my stomach. I watch her for a moment, her movements smooth and practiced, completely unaware of the world falling apart around her, or maybe just around me. She hums softly to herself, oblivious, and for a second, I feel a wave of anger rise up inside me. How can she be so normal? How can she live in this world, so perfectly untouched by everything I'm going through? I want to say something, to tell her what's been happening to me, to make her understand, but the words get stuck in my throat. I can't bring myself to tell her the truth, that I don't know who I am anymore, that every day I wake up feeling like a little more of myself has been stripped away. How do you explain to someone that you're losing yourself, piece by piece, and there's nothing you can do to stop it? Morning, Tina says, glancing over her shoulder with a smile. You sleep okay? I force a nod, pretending that everything is fine. Yeah, just, tired. She doesn't push it, just nods and goes back to her coffee like that's the end of it. And maybe for her it is. But for me, it's a lie that's starting to suffocate me. I can feel it pressing down on my chest, heavy and relentless. I've been pretending for so long now that I don't even remember what it feels like to be honest with someone, to be real. The flashes of Nick, Alex, and Rosa haunt me throughout the day, their faces flickering at the edges of my vision like ghosts I can't shake. They aren't just memories. They're warnings. I'm on the same path they are, I can feel it. The same dissociation, the same slow unraveling. I try to focus on the small, everyday things, the sound of Tina's laughter, the feel of the floor beneath my feet, but none of it feels real anymore. It's like I'm drifting through a dream, unable to wake up. By the time I leave the apartment, the world outside feels just as unreal. The streets are quiet, the sky overcast. I walk without a destination, my thoughts swirling in a fog of confusion. I don't even know where I'm going anymore. I just keep moving, hoping that if I walk far enough, I'll find something, some clue, some explanation for why everything is falling apart. But the further I go, the more disconnected I feel, like the world is moving on without me and I'm just here, a shadow, a ghost. At some point, I find myself standing in front of the university library, the building looming over me like a monument to a life I barely remember. I used to come here to study, to meet friends, to feel like I was part of something. But now it feels distant, like it belongs to someone else. I hesitate for a moment, then push through the doors, the familiar smell of old books and stale air washing over me. It should be comforting, but it isn't. Nothing is. I wander through the stacks, the rows of books towering above me, their spines dusty and untouched. I used to love it here, the quiet, the solitude. But now it feels oppressive, like the weight of all the knowledge in this place is pressing down on me, reminding me of everything I've lost. I find a seat in a corner, away from the few other students who are scattered around, and close my eyes, trying to clear my head. That's when the flashes start again. Nick's face, pale and terrified, his hands trembling as he reaches for something I can't see. Then Alex, blood dripping from his fingers, his eyes wild with fear and rage. And finally Rosa, her expression empty, like she's already gone, even though she's still standing there, still breathing. It's like they're trying to tell me something, but I don't know what. I don't know how to help them. I don't even know how to help myself. I open my eyes, my heart racing, my hands shaking. I don't know how much longer I can keep doing this, pretending that everything is okay, pretending that I'm still me. Because the truth is, I'm not. Not anymore. I'm becoming someone else, something else, and I don't know how to stop it. Every day, I feel a little more of myself slipping away, replaced by something darker, something violent. I think about Alex, the blood on his hands, the look in his eyes. I've seen that look before, in my own reflection. I felt that same urge, that same compulsion to do something terrible. And it scares me, because I know it's only a matter of time before I can't fight it anymore. Before I become like him. I stand up abruptly, knocking over the chair in my haste. A few heads turn in my direction, curious, but I don't care. I need to get out of here. I need air, space, something to clear my head. I hurry out of the library, the cool air hitting me like a slap in the face as soon as I step outside. But it doesn't help. Nothing helps. As I walk back toward the apartment, the sky darkening with the promise of rain, I can feel the weight of everything pressing down on me. The water, the visions, the loss of myself. It's all too much. I don't know how to fix it. I don't even know if I can. All I know is that I'm running out of time. I don't remember falling asleep. 1 minute, I was sitting at the kitchen table, staring out the window at the rain, and the next, I'm in a different place, a different time. The world around me feels wrong, twisted. The air is thick, almost choking, and the light is all wrong. Too dim, too yellow, casting long, distorted shadows that make everything look unreal. It takes me a moment to realize I'm not in my apartment anymore. I'm somewhere else, somewhere I've never been, but somehow it feels familiar. There's a dead rabbit on the floor in front of me. At first, I think it's a hallucination, just another product of my fractured mind. But the longer I stare at it, the more real it becomes. Its eyes are wide open, unblinking, and its body is contorted in a way that makes my stomach churn. There's something off about it. Its limbs too long, its fur matted with something dark and sticky. Blood. I can smell it now, sharp and metallic, filling the air around me. I try to move, but my body feels heavy, like I'm wading through water again. The sensation of drowning returns, but this time, it's worse. I'm not just drowning in the physical sense. I'm drowning in my own mind. I can feel the weight of it pressing down on me, suffocating me. My thoughts are slow, sluggish, like they're trapped in a fog I can't clear. The rabbit twitches. Its legs jerk suddenly, and for a second, I think it's alive. But no, it's dead. It has to be. I saw it. I know it. But then its head moves, slowly turning toward me, and its eyes, those wide, glassy eyes, are staring straight at me. I can't breathe. I can't move. I can only watch as its mouth opens, the skin peeling back in a grotesque smile, revealing sharp, jagged teeth that have no business being there. This isn't real. It can't be real. I close my eyes, willing the image to disappear, but when I open them again, the rabbit is still there. Only now, it's closer. Its body has dragged itself across the floor, leaving a slick trail of blood in its wake. I want to scream, but the sound is trapped in my throat, swallowed by the thick air around me. My hands are shaking, my heart pounding so hard I'm afraid it might burst. I have to get out. I have to get away from this thing, this creature, before it reaches me. But I can't move. The rabbit's mouth opens wider, that grotesque smile stretching impossibly far, and then it speaks. Its voice is wrong, high-pitched, distorted, like it's coming from a broken radio. Lena, it says, dragging out my name in a slow, agonizing drawl. Lena, you're one of us now. I blink, and suddenly, the rabbit is gone. I'm back in my apartment, sitting at the kitchen table, my hands clenched into fists sewed tight my knuckles are white. The rain is still falling outside, tapping against the window in a steady rhythm, but everything else feels off. My heart is racing, my skin damp with sweat. I look down at my hands, half expecting to see blood, but there's nothing. No rabbit. No blood. Just me, sitting in the kitchen alone. But I'm not alone. I can feel it now, the presence. It's been there for a while, lurking at the edges of my awareness, but I've been too scared to acknowledge it. There's something in this apartment with me. Something watching, waiting. The air feels too thick, too still, like the whole world is holding its breath. I stand up slowly, my legs shaking, and glance around the room. Everything looks the same, but I know it's not. There's something wrong here. Something hiding in the shadows, just out of sight. I can hear a faint noise now, a whispering sound like voices drifting through the walls. It's too quiet to make out, but it's there, growing louder, closer. My chest tightens, fear wrapping itself around my lungs, squeezing until I can barely breathe. I know what this is. It's the program. The White Rabbit program. It's in my head, burrowing deeper and deeper, pulling me under. I can't fight it anymore. I stumble toward the door, needing to get out, to escape the suffocating pressure of this place. But my legs feel like lead. Every step is harder than the last, my body heavy and uncooperative. By the time I reach the door, I'm gasping for air, my vision swimming. I fumble with the handle, my fingers slick with sweat, but it won't turn. The door won't open. I'm trapped. And then I hear it. The rabbit's voice, faint but unmistakable. Lena, you're one of us. I slam my fist against the door, desperation clawing at my throat. I have to get out. I can't stay here. Not with it. Not with that thing. But the door won't budge, no matter how hard I pull, no matter how much I beg. The whispering is louder now, swirling around me like a storm, filling my head with static and broken voices. I press my hands to my ears, trying to block it out, but it's inside me. I can't escape it. The lights flicker, casting long, distorted shadows across the walls. And in the darkness, I see it again. The rabbit. It's standing in the doorway, its body still twisted and wrong, its eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. It doesn't move, but I can feel its presence, heavy and suffocating, pressing down on me. I back away slowly, my heart hammering in my chest, but there's nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. The rabbit smiles again, its teeth sharp and gleaming, and I know deep down that this is what the program has done to me. It's not just in my mind. It's in my reality now. It's taken root, twisting everything I know, everything I am, into something else, something I don't recognize. And as the rabbit steps closer, its voice low and echoing in my ears, I realize that I'm not afraid of it anymore. I'm becoming it. I wake up with my heart pounding in my chest, my throat raw as if I've been screaming in my sleep. The apartment is dark, but not in the usual way. The shadows seem thicker, heavier, as if they've taken on a life of their own. There's something wrong, something deeply, horribly wrong. I sit up, blinking against the oppressive darkness, and that's when I feel it, the wetness beneath me. Not the usual dampness that clings to me like a second skin, but something else, something warmer, something sticky. I glance down and see the dark stains spreading across the sheets, the scent of copper thick in the air. My stomach lurches, my mind scrambling to make sense of what I'm seeing, but nothing comes. I reach out, my fingers brushing against something soft, something familiar, and then I freeze. It's Tina. She's lying next to me, her body still, too still, and I can feel the warmth of her blood soaking into the bed, into my skin. For a second, everything stops. The world holds its breath, waiting for me to catch up. But I can't. I can't move. I can't think. I can't even breathe. My hands are trembling as I reach out, pressing my fingers against her neck, searching for a pulse, for any sign of life. But there's nothing. She's gone. And I know in the pit of my stomach that I did this. I don't remember how. I don't remember why. But I know it was me. The sight of her, so still, so lifeless, sends a jolt of panic through me, and suddenly, I'm moving. I'm stumbling out of bed, my legs weak, my head spinning. My hands are covered in blood, Tina's blood. And it's everywhere. On the sheets, on the walls, on me. I try to wipe it off, but it just smears, staining everything it touches. My breath comes in short, shallow gasps, my chest tight with terror. What have I done? How did this happen? The flashes come then, sharp and vivid, cutting through the fog in my mind. I see Tina standing in the kitchen, smiling at me like she always does. I see her laughing, her voice light and easy. And then I see myself, standing over her, my hands around her throat, squeezing until the light goes out of her eyes. I feel the pressure, the violence, the uncontrollable urge to make it stop, to make her stop. But I don't remember why. I don't know why I did it. All I know is that I couldn't stop. I sink to the floor, my back pressed against the wall, my hands still shaking. The rabbit's voice echoes in my head, a low, taunting whisper. You're one of us now, Lena. You always were. I press my hands to my ears, trying to block it out, but it's no use. It's inside me now, woven into every thought, every action. The White Rabbit program has taken everything from me. My sense of reality, my sense of self. And now it's taken Tina. I don't know how long I sit there, staring at the blood on my hands. The weight of what I've done pressing down on me like a suffocating blanket. Time doesn't exist anymore, not in the way it used to. Hours pass, or maybe it's minutes. Maybe it's days. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters anymore. Tina is dead, and it's my fault. I did this. I killed her. And the worst part is, I don't even feel like myself anymore. I don't feel anything. The sound of the door opening snaps me out of my daze, and I look up to see Agent Pierce standing in the doorway. His face is unreadable, his eyes cold and calculating as they sweep over the scene in front of him. He doesn't say anything at first, just steps inside, his presence filling the room with a kind of cold detachment that makes my skin crawl. I want to scream at him, to tell him to get out, but the words die in my throat. You've done well, he says finally, his voice low and calm, as if this is exactly what he expected, as if this is all part of some twisted plan. You're progressing faster than we anticipated. I stare at him, my mind struggling to comprehend his words. Progressing? What does that even mean? I just killed my best friend, and he's talking about progress like this is some kind of experiment, like I'm just a lab rat to him. And maybe I am. Maybe that's all I've ever been. You did this to me, I whisper, my voice shaking with rage and fear. You made me do this. Pierce's expression doesn't change. We didn't make you do anything, Lena. You did this on your own. You always had it in you. The program just brought it to the surface. His words hit me like a punch to the gut, the truth of them sinking in with a sickening finality. He's right. The program didn't force me to kill Tina. It didn't make me do anything. It just stripped away the layers, the pieces of myself that kept the darkness at bay. And now what's left is something I don't even recognize. I'm not Lena anymore. I'm something else, something dangerous, something broken. Pierce steps closer, his gaze never leaving mine. You can't fight it, Lena. This is who you are now. And the sooner you accept that, the easier it'll be. I want to fight him, to scream and yell and tell him he's wrong. But deep down, I know he's right. I can feel it, the pull of the program, the way it's reshaped me, twisted me into something new, something violent, something I can't control. I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know if I'll ever be able to find my way back. Come with me, Pierce says, extending a hand. There's no point in resisting. The program has already won. For a moment, I hesitate, my mind racing with the possibilities. I could refuse. I could run. But where would I go? There's nothing left for me out there. Nothing except more blood, more violence. The program has taken everything from me, and now all that's left is this dark, twisted version of myself that I don't even recognize. I stand slowly, my legs unsteady beneath me, and take his hand. Dr. Vivienne Cross's office is colder than I expected. The sterile, metallic walls seem to close in on me, casting an almost oppressive shadow over the small space. I'm sitting in a stiff chair across from her, my hands resting awkwardly in my lap. I can still feel the dried blood under my nails, even though I scrubbed them raw before I got here. The smell of it lingers in my mind, sharp and metallic, like it's become a part of me, just like everything else the program has done to me. Dr. Cross sits behind her desk, her fingers steepled as she studies me with that same detached expression she always wears. I can't read her face. I don't know if she's pleased with me, disappointed, or just indifferent. Maybe it doesn't matter. To her, I'm just another piece of data, another cog in the machine. I wonder if she even sees me as a person anymore, or if she ever did. You're handling it well, she says, breaking the silence. Her voice is smooth, almost clinical, like she's discussing a routine lab test instead of the fact that I killed my best friend. Better than most subjects at this stage. I don't respond. What is there to say? I don't feel like I'm handling anything. I feel like I'm unraveling, like the last threads of who I used to be are slipping through my fingers. But maybe that's what she wants. Maybe that's the point. The program isn't just about controlling my actions. It's about stripping away my identity, piece by piece, until there's nothing left but the version of me they created. You must understand, Lena, Dr. Cross continues, leaning forward slightly. This is all for the greater good. The White Rabbit program is designed to protect the country, to ensure that people like you, people with your potential, are used to their full capacity. I meet her gaze, but there's no emotion in her eyes, just the cold, calculating look of someone who believes what she's saying. She truly thinks this is for the best. That turning me into a killer, breaking me down until I don't recognize myself, is somehow justified. I want to argue, to scream at her that she's wrong, that this isn't what I wanted, but the words don't come. Maybe because deep down, I don't know if I have the strength to fight anymore. It's too late to go back now, she adds, her voice soft but firm. You've seen what you're capable of. You've felt it, haven't you? The power, the control. You're becoming exactly what we need you to be. I want to deny it, to tell her she's wrong. But she isn't. I have felt it, that rush of power, the dark, violent urge that took over when I strangled Tina. It wasn't just the program pushing me. It was me. Some part of me wanted it, needed it. And that terrifies me more than anything else. I don't know where I end and the program begins anymore. Dr. Cross watches me, waiting for some kind of response, but I can't give her one. Instead, I sit in silence, staring at the floor, my mind racing. The memories of what I've done flash through my head, vivid and unrelenting. Tina's lifeless body, Nick's terrified face, the blood on my hands. I try to cling to the pieces of myself that still feel real, but they're slipping away, dissolving like sand in the wind. There's no point in resisting, Lena. Dr. Cross says, her tone softening, almost like she's speaking to a child. The program has already reshaped you. You can either accept what you've become, or you can continue to fight it, but we both know how that ends. I swallow hard, my throat dry. I know she's right. The fight left me the moment I walked out of my apartment, the moment I took Pierce's hand and followed him here. The part of me that wanted to resist, to hold on to who I was, is gone. What's left is something else, something darker, colder. And maybe that's what they want. Maybe that's the version of me they've been waiting for. I don't know how long I sit there, lost in my own thoughts, but eventually, Dr. Cross stands, moving around the desk to stand in front of me. She looks down at me with that same clinical detachment, like she's studying a particularly interesting specimen. You're part of something bigger now, Lena. Something important. The old you doesn't matter anymore. It never did. Her words hit me like a slap to the face, but I don't flinch. I just sit there, staring up at her, numb. The old me, the version of me that went to college, that worked at the coffee shop, that laughed with Tina over stupid things, it's all gone now. Stripped away by the program, replaced with this empty shell of a person I barely recognize. But maybe she's right. Maybe that version of me never mattered. Maybe I was always meant to end up here, sitting in this cold, sterile room, being molded into something new, something useful. Maybe this is who I've always been, just a tool for them to shape and use as they see fit. Dr. Cross places a hand on my shoulder, her touch light but firm. You'll see, Blina. In time you'll understand. This is for the best. I don't respond. I can't. My mind is spinning, my thoughts tangled in knots I can't unravel. I feel like I'm drowning again, sinking deeper and deeper into the darkness. And there's nothing to hold on to, nothing to pull me back to the surface. The part of me that wanted to fight is gone. And all that's left is this empty, hollow feeling. Dr. Cross steps back, her hand falling away. You'll be taken to the facility soon, she says, her voice matter-of-fact now, like we're discussing logistics instead of my future. Agent Pierce will escort you. The program is nearly complete. I nod, not because I agree, but because I don't know what else to do. There's no escape from this, no going back. The person I used to be is gone, and all that's left is this, whatever they've turned me into, whatever I've allowed myself to become. As I stand to leave, I catch a glimpse of myself in the reflection of the office window. The person staring back at me looks the same face, same eyes, same body. But I know better. I know that the person I used to be is dead, buried somewhere deep inside me, lost to the program. And the person standing here now, following orders, is something else entirely. Something they created. Something I'm not sure I'll ever be able to escape. The air is thick again. It wraps around me, smothering as if I'm trapped beneath a heavy blanket, struggling for breath. My skin feels clammy, slick with the constant dampness that has clung to me for days, weeks, maybe longer. Time has become meaningless, slipping through my fingers like water. I can't tell how long it's been since I left Dr. Cross's office, or how much time has passed since I was led to the facility. Everything blurs together now. I sit in the corner of the small, sterile room they've placed me in, my back pressed against the cold metal wall. There's a single light overhead, casting a harsh glow that never dims, never softens. It's always the same, always on, making it impossible to tell night from day. I don't move much anymore. There's no point. I'd stop trying to fight the heaviness in my limbs, the fog in my head. I'd stop trying to hold on to the pieces of myself that are slipping away. The water is always there. I can feel it, even now. It's not real, not in the sense that I'm physically drowning, but it's there nonetheless. Inside me, around me, filling my lungs, pulling me under. I'm sinking deeper and deeper, and there's nothing to grab hold of. Nothing to keep me tethered to the surface. Every breath feels like a struggle, like I'm forcing air into lungs that no longer want it. I don't know how much longer I can keep fighting it. In the quiet moments, when the program isn't pushing at the edges of my mind, I think about Tina. I see her face, smiling, laughing, alive. And then I see her as she was in those last moments, still, cold, lifeless. I did that. I know I did. But the memories are fragmented now, like pieces of a dream I can't quite put together. Sometimes I wonder if she was ever real, or if she was just another part of the experiment, another ghost the program planted in my head to break me. The door to my room hisses open, and Agent Pierce steps inside. He's been coming here more often, checking in on me, watching me with those cold, unreadable eyes. He doesn't say much, just observes, like he's waiting for something. I don't know what he expects me to do. I don't even know what I'm capable of anymore. You're adjusting, he says, his voice calm, measured. The process is nearly complete. I don't respond. What is there to say? I've stopped asking questions. I don't care about the answers anymore. They don't matter. Nothing does. The person I used to be, the girl who went to class, who worked at a coffee shop, who had a life outside of this place, she's gone. I can feel it in the hollow spaces inside me, the empty places where she used to live. The program has taken her, erased her, replaced her with something else. Pierce takes a step closer, his gaze unwavering. You understand now, don't you? This is who you are. This is what you were always meant to be. His words hang in the air, heavy and final, and I know he's right. I've known it for a while now, though I've been too afraid to admit it. The program has stripped away everything that made me who I was. My thoughts, my memories, my sense of self, all of it has been twisted and reshaped, molded into something new, something darker. I'm not Lena anymore. I don't know who I am. I don't know if I ever will. Pierce watches me for a moment longer before turning to leave. The door slides shut behind him with a soft hiss, and I'm alone again, surrounded by the silence, by the ever-present sensation of drowning. I close my eyes, letting the weight of it pull me under. Maybe this is what I've always been destined for. Maybe the program didn't change me at all. Maybe it just revealed the truth, the darkness that was always inside me, waiting for the right moment to surface. Time slips away again, lost in the haze of my thoughts. I don't know how long I sit there, sinking deeper into the fog, but eventually, something shifts. It's subtle at first, a faint pressure at the edges of my mind, but it grows stronger, more insistent, until I can't ignore it. The program is pushing again, whispering in my head, pulling me further into its grip. I stand, my legs unsteady beneath me, and walk toward the small mirror mounted on the wall. My reflection stares back at me, but it doesn't look like me. The eyes are the same, the face familiar, but there's something off about it, something hollow. The person looking back at me isn't Lena. Not anymore. She's gone, lost in the water, drowned by the weight of the program. I press my hands against the mirror, leaning in closer, searching for something, anything, that feels real. But there's nothing, just the emptiness, the void that has taken root inside me. The program has won. Pierce was right. Dr. Cross was right. This is who I am now, a product of their creation. Batul, I step back from the mirror, my breath shallow, my heart pounding in my chest. For the first time in what feels like an eternity, I feel something. Not fear, not sadness, acceptance. I've been fighting for so long, trying to hold on to a version of myself that no longer exists. But now, I see it clearly. The fight is over. I am what they've made me. And maybe, in some twisted way, I was always meant to be this. The water is still there, still pulling at me. But I'm not struggling anymore. I let it take me, let it fill my lungs, let it drag me under. And as the darkness closes in, as the last remnants of who I used to be slip away, I feel a strange sense of peace. The drowning sensation isn't frightening anymore. It's just there like it's always been. I don't know where this will end. I don't know what comes next. But I do know one thing. I'm not afraid anymore.